The Witch Who Lived in the Shadows. A haunting tale of a little girl and an ancient curse. Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of a mist-shrouded forest, lay the village of Eldergrove. This village was quaint, with cobblestone streets and ivy-clad cottages, but it was also known for its unnerving folklore. The people whispered tales of a witch who haunted the woods, a shadowy figure said to be as old as the forest itself. The witch was known as Morgana, a name that sent shivers down the spine of even the bravest villagers. She was said to live in a cottage made of twisted branches and enchanted thorns, hidden deep within the heart of the forest. No one had ever seen her, but stories of her dark magic and malevolent spells were enough to keep everyone away from the forest's edge. In this village lived a little girl named Eliza. She was only 7 years old, with wide, curious eyes and a boundless sense of adventure. Eliza was different from the other children in Eldergrove. While they all spoke of the forest with fear and trepidation, Eliza spoke of it with wonder and excitement. She would often sit by the window, gazing into the misty forest, dreaming of what lay beyond the trees. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows lengthened, Eliza's grandmother fell gravely ill. The village healer had tried everything, but nothing seemed to alleviate her suffering. Desperate for a solution, Eliza recalled the stories she had heard about Morgana. Could the witch's magic be the key to curing her grandmother? Determined and fearless, Eliza decided to seek out Morgana. She knew it was a perilous journey, but her love for her grandmother gave her the courage she needed. With a small satchel of provisions and her grandmother's locket around her neck, she ventured into the forest just as twilight began to fall. As she walked deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to close in around her, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The path was faint, and the mist grew thicker with every step. Eliza's heart pounded, but she pressed on, guided only by the faint glow of the moonlight and the stories she remembered. Hours passed, and the forest grew darker and more foreboding. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or distant hoot of an owl. Eliza felt a chill run down her spine, but she kept moving, determined to find the witch's cottage. Just when she thought she could go no further, she stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood the cottage of her nightmares. It was as twisted and eerie as the stories had described. The walls seemed to writhe with a life of their own, and the windows glowed with a sickly green light. Eliza took a deep breath and approached the door, which creaked open before she could even knock. Inside, the cottage was dimly lit by flickering candles. The air was thick with the smell of herbs and something else, something foul and unnatural. In the center of the room, surrounded by strange potions and ancient tomes, sat Morgana. The witch was an old woman with skin like parchment and eyes that gleamed with a malevolent light. Her hair was a wild, tangled mane, and her long, gnarled fingers clutched a twisted staff. Morgana looked up from her work and studied Eliza with an inscrutable gaze. "What brings you here, child?" she rasped, her voice like the whisper of dry leaves. Eliza stood tall despite her fear. "My grandmother is very sick. I've come to ask for your help." Morgana's eyes narrowed. "And why should I help you?" she asked. "What makes you think you are worthy of my magic?" Eliza swallowed hard but didn't falter. "I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for her. She's kind and she's suffering. Please, I'll do anything." Morgana considered this for a long moment, her eyes gleaming with a sinister curiosity. "Very well," she said finally. "I will help you, but in return, you must promise me something." Eliza's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" The witch's smile was thin and cruel. "A soul. A soul must be given in exchange for the life you wish to save." The witch's smile was thin and cruel. "A soul. A soul must be given in exchange for the life you wish to save." Eliza's eyes widened in horror. "I don't understand. Whose soul?" Morgana's smile grew wider, and her voice was a sibilant whisper. "Your own." Eliza's blood ran cold. She had heard of such dark bargains, but she had never imagined she would be faced with one herself. She hesitated, her mind racing. Her grandmother's face flashed before her eyes, her frail body lying in bed. Could she truly sacrifice herself for her grandmother's sake? Desperation clawed at her heart. But then she remembered the stories she'd heard. Tales of bravery and cunning. She had one last card to play. "I have one more request," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "I want to make a deal with you that doesn't involve my soul." Morgana's eyes gleamed with interest. "And what might that be?" "If I can find a way to help you without giving up my soul," Eliza said. "Will you help me and my grandmother?" Morgana's gaze was appraising, almost amused. "I am intrigued." "Very well, child. If you can find a way, I will grant your wish. But beware, for the path you choose may be fraught with peril." Eliza nodded, her mind racing. She turned and fled the cottage, racing through the darkened forest with renewed determination. She needed to find a way to outwit the witch and save her grandmother. As she stumbled through the forest, Eliza remembered the old tales her grandmother used to tell. There was one story about a magical artifact hidden deep in the forest, a relic that could counteract any dark magic. The stories said it was guarded by an ancient spirit and could only be found by someone pure of heart. Summoning all her courage, Eliza ventured deeper into the forest, guided only by her intuition and the flickering light of the moon. The mist seemed to part before her, and she followed a path that seemed almost to be guiding her. Finally, she reached a hidden glade, where a silver light bathed an ancient stone pedestal. On the pedestal lay a crystal vial filled with a glowing liquid. The vial seemed to hum with a soft, melodious sound, and Eliza knew she had found the artifact she needed. She carefully picked it up, feeling its warmth against her skin. The vial was said to contain the essence of purity, a force strong enough to break any dark enchantment. With the vial clutched tightly in her hand, Eliza raced back to Morgana's cottage. The witch was waiting for her, a look of impatience and curiosity in her eyes. "I have what you asked for," Eliza said, holding out the vial. "But first, I need your word that you will help my grandmother." Morgana's eyes widened in surprise as she took the vial, examining it closely. "This is indeed a rare and powerful artifact," she said, her tone begrudgingly admiring. "Very well, child. I will honor my part of the bargain." With a wave of her hand, Morgana cast a spell using the essence from the vial. A shimmering light enveloped Eliza, and she felt a warmth spread through her body. The enchantment was lifted, and the dark magic that had been affecting her grandmother was undone. Eliza thanked the witch and turned to leave. As she made her way back to the village, she felt a sense of triumph and relief. She had faced her fears and outwitted a powerful sorceress to save her beloved grandmother. When she returned to Eldergrove, her grandmother was miraculously cured, and the villagers were in awe of Eliza's bravery. The tales of the little girl who faced the witch and triumphed spread far and wide, and Eldergrove's legend of the haunted forest took on a new chapter. As for Morgana, she vanished into the forest, her whereabouts unknown. But the legend of the witch who lived in the shadows endured, a reminder of the courage and determination of a little girl who dared to challenge the darkness. And so, the forest remained a place of mystery and magic, but the fear that once dominated Eldergrove began to fade. The villagers learned to respect the forest and its secrets, and Eliza became a hero whose story was told for generations to come.